All right, well, I am Professor Louie, and my original real name was Aaron Lewis Hurwitz. And I got the Professor Louie from Rick Danko because the band used their middle names. Mark Lee Von Helm and Garth, of course, Garth was his middle name. Robbie Robertson, Jamie Robbie Robertson. So anyway, when I got with the band, they called me Louie, and then Rick started calling me Professor Louie, and that's what has stuck. We started playing before the rain, and all of a sudden it started really pouring hard. And we look out on the stage, and maybe I was next to Yorma, because now I don't know if you would know, we would have to look to see if Yorma was on the bill to play with the band. The band had a lot of special guests. The band was always, since the last waltz, was always fighting the special guests. You know, that we would go play a show and the band wanted to do their music, and all of a sudden there's other people that I didn't even know if they were advertised to play with us. And so, you know, Yorma and I, we're good friends. So all of a sudden I walk out and there's Yorma standing there. I'm thinking, I wonder why Yorma's here. But anyway, we look up and there's all these firemen with hatchets on the stage and axes. So what they're doing is, because the roof of the stage, I might have been wrong, might have been looking like it was going to collapse because of all the rain. Because a lot of these make-up stages don't have that, because they're temporary stages. So they were cutting down the roof or making holes in the roof so the rain, and it was all firemen and raincoats, and me and you, I'm looking. So sure enough, they cut the staging ceiling and all the rain dumps on all the equipment. Which, electronics and rain don't really work too well. And Bruce Hornsby was an artist that the band he was going to play with the band. What he was going to play with the band, I can't remember. But, they want the famous names, and to be part of the whole act. And so Bruce, and we were pretty friendly at the time because he had just finished writing some songs for the Jericho record, which I co-produced, and he came to Levon Studio to work on the Jericho record. And he was a little ticked off at this point anyway, because I don't think any of his songs ended up on the Jericho records. I remember recording them, and why they didn't end up there, I don't know. I stayed out of that part of it. Anyhow, the firemen cut the roof, the water dumps on Hornsby's piano, and so we come up to the big number. The big number is going to be the weight. That's the band's big number. And Bruce is going to play. He starts playing, and he's in a completely different key. So the electronics got changed by the water, which can happen. And of course, he doesn't know if the band changed the key on him. Because, you got to remember, he wrote songs for the Jericho record, and now none of his songs are on the record. And he goes to play the wake, the big piano things, the big piano fills, which he should have left at the Garth anyway, but that's another story. And so he starts complaining that somebody changed the key of his piano on purpose, or the band's playing in another key. And, as a musician and stuff, we always find that stuff really funny, because if you worked with the band, you realize they would change keys on you anyway sometimes, just to have some fun. Or Garth, on the other hand, he would change keys on his keyboard just to make it more interesting, because on a synthesizer you could change keys. So there's poor Bruce, who came up with his bass player in a completely different key in the weight. So that had a little sense of humor to it for us musicians. How it sounded, I don't know, because I can't remember that too much. Because I was really just mixing for the TV, and once it started really raining, all the electronics got pretty funny with the mix too.
Do you have any personal